Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
MaXXXine. Your agent tells us you're quite a popular name in adult film and entertainment. Is that correct? I'm curious, did you always want to be in that line of work?
I always wanted to be famous.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hey.
Now, before I say anything else, I want to warn our listeners that my voice is thrashed because I'm battling a little a virus, a disease.
I think it's called COVID. Do you remember a thing called COVID?
It could be the rage virus, for all I know. I don't know what it is.
It might be the rage virus.
It could, very much could be. This week, you keep giving me sass. It definitely will be the rage virus. This week, we're discussing the horror classic, MaXXXine, starring Mia Goth, Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo Esposito. Who else is in this thing? Anybody else I'm forgetting?
No.
Some other randos mixed in there as well.
Halsey,
who was in it for about 3 seconds, by the way. I was like, ooh, Halsey's
to die in a horror movie. I mean, that's the greatest gift you can have.
That's your dream.
That's
after all. You could have been the Halsey role, is what you're saying. 100%. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genres with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's the latest?
Just so our viewers know, my brother has norovirus or COVID or whatever.
Bird flu.
But I have forgotten to charge all my headpieces. So now there's a speaker in the background. I'm yelling into a microphone. Lord knows what this thing is going to sound like.
When you say headpieces, that sounds like something out of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Do you mean
That's
your
right.
earbuds?
My earbuds.
No one calls them headpieces. I've never heard that in my life, but please proceed.
Thank you very much. I have 25 different kinds, but I had these ones because I don't like the ones that go in your ear. I like the ones that lay on the outside.
Okay.
I have tiny ear holes, so they never quite fit right.
It's a problem.
But this one I bought, it's so fantastic that it holds a charge forever. So what
clearly
happens?
Not.
Well, exactly. So what happens is one day is just not charged, and today is that day.
You were testing the length and breadth of the ability to hold a charge, is what you're saying.
And then my brother complains, get your other one, also dead. So there we have it.
Wah, wah, wah,
Also
wah.
an ear bone. So it sits on the bone here.
Anywho, go ahead,
Whatever.
Aaron. What else you got?
I'm wearing the same clothes I wore yesterday because it's a holiday. So it's a holiday from bathing or brushing your teeth or anything like that. I invited our cousin over to watch MaXXXine with me. She went with me to the theater to see it when it first came out.
Okay.
She's a big fan of MaXXXine.
Really?
That's what I said.
Interesting. Had she seen the other two?
Yes. She does agree it is the worst of the three, but she was like talking it up. I love the 80s vibe. I was like, okay. I was like, oh, because it's like, what's his face? Brian De Palma. You like all the Brian De Palma touches? She's like, I don't know who that is. So I don't know.
She absolutely has heard the name Brian De Palma. She did not say,
She's
"I
like,
don't know who
I
that
don't know who
is."
that is. I was like,
Oh,
I don't know what
Jesus
to say.
Christ.
I don't know. I'm surrounded by people who speak a different language than me. What can I do? What
That
can
is
I do?
insanity. It is straight insanity.
I'm going to
That's
San
what I say.
Francisco. I want to take my friends to the bar where they have the Maltese Falcon. They're like, I don't know what that
I don't know
is.
what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Well,
It's wild.
that is doubly upsetting, for God's sake. Okay,
Mhm.
you know what? Nothing, enough of this nonsense. Give us your 30-second synopsis of MaXXXine.
So Maxine escapes her Texas freak out slasher porn thing and gets her ass to Hollywood, where of course she falls into the crack of porno vision. And now she's ready to break free and move right into horror, which seems like a natural choice because usually it's the other way. The Scream Queens have that slide on down to porn.
It goes the
So
other way usually,
it
right?
usually goes the other way, but she's gonna go the other way because she's got tenacious and she ain't gonna let nothing get in her way. And she's got friends that are willing to kill for her, so that helps if you've got that solid friend base.
So I've heard.
Murder, 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 Hillside Strangler. It's her crazy dad. She wins. The end.
Now, I have to say, I was jazzed to see this. When I saw
Because
ads
the
for
first two
MaXXXine,
were so good.
first two, I really, and I've said it before, I really enjoyed X. I really enjoyed the first one. I thought Pearl was good, but did not enjoy Pearl as much as I liked X. Now, you felt the opposite, correct?
I went the other way, yeah.
And I am very much into that kind of 80s vibe. No
Right.
question.
This
And
had the big build because it was going to be 80 slashers.
100%. And I do like the Brian De Palma kind of thing. I'm into the body
Split
double, dress to kill.
screen, the black gloves, a little like Argento situation. Oh yeah, there was
Totally.
body double to the point we even had some Frankie Goes to Hollywood music rocking in,
But not the good one.
but
Not the
not the
good
good
one.
one because that's too obvious.
That
The
was
one
too
I was
obvious.
like, Heather goes like, is that Frankie Goes to Hollywood? I'm like, it sounds like it.
Welcome to the Pleasure Dome
Yes.
by Frank Goes to Hollywood. And the only reason I knew that, like if I had the subtitles on, and the moment it kicked in with, I'm like reading the lyrics, I'm like, I was like, in Kublai Khan, he had a dome or some shit. I was like, are these lyrics?
Khan, isn't that the beginning of Citizen Kane?
Oh man, that's
They quote
Rosebud.
that at the beginning of Citizen Kane.
Oh, maybe so.
Right.
So I'm like, oh god, yeah, this is okay. I've said it before. The only true Frankie Goes to Hollywood is Relax. That is the first, last, and middle sentence of frickin' their work, in my opinion.
I think in
Disagree?
most people's opinion. Can you
Right.
name a third song?
No.
There's a pause. Radio
No.
silence.
No, I could not. Not if you had a gun to my head. If you had a gun to my head, I might be able to pull out Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. Maybe. Number 3, I feel like maybe there's a third that I might remember, but not be able to sing a lyric. But no. What about you?
Well, now we're on the 80s movie kick. We should say it all ends with a New Order song. So beautiful.
And there was a John Parr song. Do you know who John Parr is?
I feel like he was an actor. Wasn't he like one of the Warriors or something?
He might have been, but that's not what the song is. It was the theme from St. Elmo's Fire, Man in Motion.
Oh yeah, I can see that new horizon,
which is a good jam, I think. That's a jam. The fact
it
that
was
I can
better than the movie St. Elmo's Fire.
say it. Whoa, whoa!
Oh, yes,
you went a bridge too far.
my
Look.
friend.
Here's the thing. People think of St. Elmo's Fire as kind of the natural progression from Breakfast Club, but St. Elmo's
Where they're all
Fire,
just strung out on drugs and their lives are destroyed, even the
correct.
ones that seem to be doing okay.
But St. Elmo's Fire is not a John Hughes movie.
No.
People think it's a John Hughes movie, but it's not. It's a Joel. What's his name? God damn it! His
Joel
name is
McRae,
I
the
don't know who that
1940s
is.
actor.
Joel Schumacher. It's a Joel Schumacher movie.
Oh, okay.
That was what it was. So you're right. It's like one is we're in high school with nothing but possibilities in front of us. St. Elmo's Fire is we just graduated from college and we don't know what we're going to do with the rest of our lives,
Yeah,
and then we're
it kind of
depressed.
becomes like a Brett. What's his
Bret
name?
Easton Ellis. It does. It does. It's a
Yeah.
sad situation.
Which is, of course, the natural progression once the Breakfast Club leaves the Midwest and comes to die in L.A.
That's what happens. 100%.
I agree.
So, look, the music to this movie. I mean, they even had "Give Me All Your Lovin'" by ZZ Top, and I freaking hate ZZ Top, but that song's a good jam.
They had some big hits in the 80s. You got to give them the props for that.
They did. You know what it is? It's like they definitely had some hits, and they're not songs that I dislike. I shouldn't say I freaking hate
At
ZZ
the
Top.
time, they were tearing up MTV. They all sound the same. Legs. And I feel like there's a third one.
It was the big crazy beards that I had
Yeah.
to say were a bit off-putting, if I'm being honest.
Which are now all the rage now. God, dudes, tear that shit off.
Speaking of someone
the
who basically
fuck?
has a beard, when it becomes like the old prospector beard, like you're one of the
What
seven
is the
dwarves.
point? Because
No.
you hate women and you want to repel them? Is that what it is? It's
That
woman
is the point.
repellent?
That
Why
is
do
the
you
point.
want to look like you're homeless? Like, I see a lot of homeless people, and that is a beard I recognize.
Yes, absolutely. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. But the soundtrack to this movie, the music is quite good, I would say.
I would say.
But like I said, I was so jazzed to see it. It came out like in what was it, like April or May of that year.
Yeah.
But I wound up missing it. Like my daughter actually saw it in the theater. Like she had a double feature of Long Legs and MaXXXine back to back.
Dude, that
some
sounds like
reason.
a good double feature.
And she rolled by herself. She's like, I'm just gonna. She had the movie pass, and she just rolled. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's like what her Aunt Erin used to do. No movie pass. It's called you just sneak into the theater and just work your way through a Saturday.
Is that what it
Catching
is?
all the films.
That's a crime. No,
So
and my
they
daughter,
say.
my daughter Grace is at this stage of her life where I'm like, I would like to go to those movies too, Grace. She's like, I'd prefer to go by myself, Dad. It's all the
I'd
same to
rather
you."
go by myself than have you anywhere near me at the theater.
No
Father.
question. Even anywhere in the theater, like not just don't sit next to me. It's like go another day and another time. Yeah, this is what happens when you have.
That's
teenage
where
daughters.
you go, cool. And then a little while later, you show up behind her smoking a cigar, laughing to yourself.
Absolutely.
You throw a little Cape
That's what you
Fear
do.
at her.
You do that. That's a move, or you can do the George C. Scott from Hardcore. That's the other option. One of the two. Anywho, but I eventually saw this at home I think on Max. Ironically, where did you see it, Aaron?
I
Do you
saw
remember?
it at the theater.
And did you appreciate the home theater experience or the theater experience?
I always appreciate the theater experience. It's just 9 times out of 10, there's nothing at the theater that I want to experience.
Right. We got the movie passes, and AMC, the theater we go to, has now announced.
I hate the AMC theater near me.
They've announced that it used to be 3 movies a week. Now they're going up to 4. And what I'm realizing is it seems like a good deal until you realize I don't have that many movies I want to see.
No.
Right?
4 movies?
It's like
I'm
basically
lucky there's one a
if
month.
you're lucky. Right. If you're lucky, there's one movie that you're dying to see. Otherwise, you're just like, I guess I'm going to see this movie again. I don't know what the solution is. Anywho. It's not here nor there. Why don't we jump right into the highlights, Aaron? What do you got?
Oh my God, Kevin Bacon. I always forget it's Kevin Bacon in this because he's so creepy and terrifying and monstrous. Much like the dude from The Substance.
Totally. They make him extra greasy and scary in this. Now, what it is MaXXXine, the character from X 2 movies ago. she is now, and they say she's like a star. She's like a porn star. She's not just someone trying to break into the industry. She's an established adult film actress who now wants to make the move to being in a horror film.
She has a great line in porn. You age like bread, not like wine.
Which is true, which is a sad situation. So that's kind of what it is. So she has that star factor, and she is unabashedly like, I just want to be famous. What do I got to do to be famous? Like, where a lot of actors kind of talk about, well, it's the craft, it's the desire to be creative, blah blah blah. That's not. She's not concerned about that at all. It's just, I want to be famous, and how
I
do I
want to be
get that?
famous and I want to make a lot of money. And
Totally.
let's go.
She's driving a Mercedes right now, so it seems like she's doing all right.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a porn Mercedes. I think those gals got to work a lot.
you would think, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, she's constantly working. She's not going to these parties because she's going from one job to the next job to the next job.
which is kind of important because you're right. Her work associates, let's call them, are constantly like going, "Hey, there's a big party up in the hills with lots of rich people or a lot of producers or whatever. Why don't you come with?" And she keeps saying, "No, no, no, I got to work."
Yeah, her friends are all looking for like the hookup or their MRS just to get out of the business. Like they're doing this until they can get married and have somebody take care of them. Where
Totally.
she is handling her own biz.
Right, because she wants to be a star.
Right.
She's the hardest
She's
working woman in show
hyper-focused.
business. She's handling her biz. Now, the Kevin Bacon moment is that basically he is a private investigator who's been hired to track her down for reasons unclear at this point. But I have to say, her relationship with Kevin Bacon deteriorates very quickly and kind
Very
of
quickly.
unnecessarily. Would you agree with that?
It turns an incredibly dark and violent path to Kevin Bacon in the crusher, making a bacon sandwich.
Right. Well, that's the thing. He says, "Don't kill the messenger." Okay.
She's like, I'm going to kill the messenger. I'm going to kill the car he's driving. I'm going to kill the sender. I'm going to kill the post office.
It seemed bizarre that because okay, so she meets him for lunch and he says, "Hey, here's my employer wants to meet you. You got to go to this address, blah, 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 blah." But he also says, "Frankly, I get paid either way. So I don't really care what you do."
But then he keeps
See you later.
fucking showing up. So obviously you care, brother.
Well, he showed up once with the camera because clearly this is like his job. And he's like filming her and she puts her keys in her hand and then just, which really
fucks him up.
Yes. It was rough.
She is not, no one's kidnapping her. No one's taking her. I mean, she's seen some things, let's just say. From previous experience, we know she can handle her biz.
It seemed like an overreaction, if I'm being honest. Do you disagree? Would you have keyed that guy's face?
It was like, I've warned you once, and now I'm just going to almost murder you. And then
she does.
In fact, murder you.
Right. It was like, again, he's really not the bad guy of the movie, although he knows he's working with the bad. He knows the guy who's paying with him is the bad dude. He literally says,
if you're a stormtrooper and you're working for Darth Vader, you're a bad dude.
Oh, no, yes. But I just mean he's not the villain of this movie. It's like he's treated like he's the villain, but really he says, I mean, we know he's a bad dude because he says to the kind of faceless leather glove wearing person that we don't know who it is, it's like, "You paid me to find her. I found her. Whatever, I didn't sign up for whatever kind of freaky stuff you have in mind.
Right.
But if that's what you want, then you got to pay me extra for that.
Pay me more." So there's a price to be paid, and he'll happily take it. Well, and
Yes.
then she doesn't know who his boss is, and then her friend gets murdered. So I think in her mind, it's this dude.
I don't know if she ever really makes the connection. Honestly, you never see a light bulb go off like, "Oh, the person who's tracked me down and wants to meet me is the same person that is killing, because they kind of say it's the Night
Then why
Stalker,
kill Kevin Bacon?
because he was kind of a distraction, basically. She
Yeah,
was worried
that's
about
true.
dealing
She had to
without this stuff.
squash her distraction, or she was gonna get booted off her one big chance.
Right. Her director had basically said, "You seem distracted. Take the weekend. Whatever your distractions are, squash them, or
And
I'll get somebody else
and
in."
she does squash
And she
him.
does. She literally squashes them, because it's true. After she keys up Kevin Bacon, it now seems like now he is coming to kill her, because he has a gun. He's like chasing her around and all sorts of
Right,
stuff. So now she does need to deal with that situation in a
right.
more permanent fashion. But again, I didn't feel like their relationship had to go that way initially. I think it took a turn that didn't necessarily have to take, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once you pass on the message and you give the address, I feel like your job there. Because what's the point of the rest of it?
I don't know.
Like
I
somehow it's gonna drive her to go see the client?
Maybe. I mean,
It doesn't
because
make sense to me.
why else
But
would
it works.
Kevin Bacon was paid to do whatever it was he was paid to do. He was a private
Right.
detective. So he wasn't just showing up for fun. It wasn't like I delivered the message, now I'm just hanging out because why not? Right? So it is kind of a case of killing the messenger on some level. But again, this is kind of a bizarre sideshow. It really has nothing to do with, I shouldn't say it has nothing to do, but it's really not the main thrust of the movie. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Um,
no. It's a thing that gets everything kicking.
well,
It's
because
the
like,
thread that runs through it. What the hell are you talking about? You're saying crazy shit.
no, it's not about the movie's not about Kevin Bacon.
The movie's not about Kevin Bacon, but he's kinda like the ball that moves us forward.
I don't know. To me, it seemed like he was just kind of he was a go-between, but he really wasn't what it was about. It was about the dude, the murderer, but the cult. What's revealed is it's a cult, um, and they kind of suspect that it's the Night Stalker doing
Right,
this stuff. These are Night Stalker murders, because these girls are being abducted and they're being murdered and they're being branded like with a cattle brand of like a pentagram on their face
right,
or on their back or whatever. um, and it's seemingly these girls who are all kind of connected to Maxine.
right. It seems like they're inviting all her friends because she's not going. But these
Right.
murders are already going on.
Well, the
But
Night Stalker murders were already going on. That's the thing.
right,
I they're the police and the media assume these are additional Night Stalker murders, but these are unrelated to that.
right.
So I wonder if they're just inviting kind of all adult performers up to the hills in the hopes that
It
Maxine will
feels like
come.
they're inviting people that have an association with Maxine.
It seems that way because we only
So
know
so
about
they're like, "Come
three.
on, we're going up to a producer up in the hills." I'm like, just
Right.
like in Swingers, except that
Well,
ended
it's yes.
differently.
First, it was one of her porn star friends who's going up to meet a rich dude. She's
Right,
invited. She says no. Then a day or so later, one of her friends who works at like the peep show, which
right.
see, which seems insane. I've never been to a peep show before, but the idea you put a quarter in and then a live girl will dance around naked in front of you for however long, that's a heck of a deal, if I'm being honest. That just doesn't seem like a huge
Maybe for
return
your
on
next
your investment.
birthday.
So and that's Halsey, is her peeping Tom friend. Same thing. I'm going up into the hills, want to come? No. And then later, on the set of The Puritan 2, which is the sequel horror movie that Maxine was cast in,
Right.
the star of the original Puritan movie, Lily Collins, who is Phil Collins' daughter, by the way.
I did not
Uh,
know that.
yes, she says, "Hey, I'm going." Same thing, and it's like at this point, the audience knows what's up. And you're kind of looking at Maxine going, does she not see what's happening? That each time, because she doesn't go, when Lily Collins says, hey, I'm going up to the hills to meet some you were waiting for some kind of glimmer of recognition on Maxine. Or Maxine going, no, you shouldn't
Maybe it just
go.
happens all the time.
Maybe it does.
Maybe that's what everyone does every weekend in LA.
That's well, and that's kind of,
Because either that or you have to assume she's a little slow, like tenacious but slow.
I mean, that's the question. It's like Maxine, honestly, is kind of a cipher in this movie. It's like where you don't really know what's going on. You know what I mean? She's the protagonist of this movie.
We don't know what's going on because she's had the trauma, so there's the shield. I can get that. That's why she's not going to talk to the cops because she doesn't want them to know who she is.
Right. And that's the issue with Kevin Bacon, because Kevin Bacon is basically accusing her, saying, if you don't come and meet my boss, then the cops from Texas who visited the Texas porn star massacre site and all the dead bodies, we're laying that at your feet.
I mean,
Essentially.
quite frankly, it says a police tape with a picture of her having sex.
Right.
So if she becomes famous, someone's going to recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a question. It's a question what's going on. Is Maxine somebody that we're rooting for?
Well, I mean, she's not the victim
No.
like in the other movie. You're not rooting for her to get away. Now she's become kind of like this unstoppable kind of Terminator. Like when she blows her father's brains out at the end. I mean, this is what has become of her.
Right. Well,
Anti-hero?
she survives in the original movie by her own wits and abilities.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing. When the cops come to her and say, I need you to help us save the next girl, her response is, why can't they just save themselves?
Yeah.
That's kind of her attitude. And then, of course, because she doesn't help, then Lily Collins is dead the next day. On multiple
she doesn't
fronts.
really care.
She doesn't really care. She doesn't really care. And I mean,
No.
this is the other thing about the whole Maxine character is it's like she looks obviously she looks very porny, right? And she looks kind of low class porny. You know what I mean? With like crazy bleach blonde hair. It's like you couldn't imagine her being a star.
Let me tell you a little porny story.
Uh-oh.
So
be careful.
I used to live in Long Beach, and they had a porn star softball game.
Okay.
And I invited Julian Cian to come down. And Dawn and I and Julian Cian went to go see it. And there's the flyers where everybody has their mall glamour shots.
Right.
Then there's the rough ass ladies that were actually sitting there.
Right.
So, I mean, we had to go because Ron Jeremy was, of course, playing.
Of course he
and
was.
We were looking for Seymour Butts. Not that I ever watched porn, although I think I had seen the Hedgehog in a film, just for curiosity's sakes. But at the time, I think Seymour Butts had his own show on Showtime, like just the regular life of a guy who shoots porn, but he's got kids and blah blah blah.
They had reality shows like that. Right. They had reality shows like that where it's that kind of thing.
Bullshit like that. But how could I not go? We were just sitting there and just like looking at monkeys at a zoo.
How could we not go? I like that. Put that on the poster.
Not go? But I mean, again, I didn't really know who everybody was. So Cian would whisper in my ear, okay, that is so-and-so. They're famous for this. This is so-and-so.
Oh my God.
They're famous for that.
That's too much.
Fantastic.
It doesn't sound fantastic, if I'm being honest.
It was voyeuristically bizarre, to say the least.
Okay. Yes. Real porn stars in the real world they look a little rough around the edges. They look like they have had a rough life.
They
Truly.
look like the people who show up on Judge Judy, but like their hair is still kind of wet, like those
Right.
people.
Right. And,
There
and
you
that's
go.
she didn't look that bad, but she very much looked like she had the look of kind of a trailer trashy porn star kind of look.
You
And
got the bleached out hair with
yes,
the spiral perm, with the acid wash jeans cut up to your coochie. Absolutely. She
it's
was
a whole
playing her
thing.
best part.
But you can't imagine that anybody in Hollywood is like, yes, sign her. And the director of this movie basically said that her performance in the audition was so strong that she was kind of compelled to cast her, but that everybody else, like all the producers, were like, I
We're
don't know
like,
about
no.
casting her. So,
I mean, that's the curse of like Tracy Lords, you know, except for a couple of campy shots and then some episodes of Roseanne. She really wasn't that great of an actress.
it is a different style of acting, no question. She didn't
It's
go to
closer to
Juilliard.
soap opera, I would say.
Oh, they'd be lucky if they
It
could do
goes
soap operas.
porn, horror, soap opera, regular Hollywood.
Right, 100%. So, and that's honestly the biggest leap of faith to me. You know, the biggest willing suspension of disbelief is where it's kind of like, okay, so you're going to hire this chick to be the star of the
But
show.
she
Now they,
was really good. I mean, she was really good. Does she look
yes,
like a Puritan with her straw-like hair? But we
with
don't really know what the movie's about and what her role is.
from what I could gather, it's supposed to be like a Salem's witch trial kind of thing, where somebody was burned at a stake 100, 300, 500 years. I'm not a historian. A long time ago, and is now back to get her revenge. Is what I think it's supposed to be.
Isn't that
Well,
hey, Ryan Murphy, that sounds like a fantastic American Horror Story. Is that
start
show
writing it
even
down.
on? I'm not even sure if I watched it this year.
These are important questions. Uh, but that's the thing. Like I said, she, I, I feel like she's not a protagonist that you root for because she is so very much just out for herself
Yeah.
the entire time, and you don't really know what she's thinking about. You know what's making her tick.
You're
You
not
know.
really worried for her because you kind of feel like she can handle her biz.
Well, and that's the other thing. She is almost assaulted at the beginning of the movie
Oh, by a
by
Keaton,
Buster Keaton.
or was it Betty and June?
It was Johnny Depp.
It was
Yeah.
Johnny Depp, and she
Uh,
popped his balls
oh,
like it was Vienna sausage in a can.
that was
That was
awful. That
extreme
was
close up. Extreme close up.
so unnecessary. So ridiculous. Yes, she's basically trapped. Like a guy's coming to get her. It's like Death Wish. A guy's coming to get her. He's got a switchblade, and he's. I mean, there's like a fence or whatever, a locked gate between her and freedom. But she turns around. Of course, she's got a gun. And the guy's like, "Whoa, I was just playing, honey. I don't know what you mean." She has him stripped down and lay down naked on the floor, and then she stomps on his balls, and you see it close up, like it was
Like it
rough.
pops out of the skin.
It did. Oh God, that was
Extreme close
unnecessary.
up.
Yes, good grief. So she
That might
can
have been
take care
the
of
first
herself.
like 15 minutes, but that might have been the most graphic thing of the whole movie.
Well, and in the rest of the movie, she's never really in danger until the last 20 minutes, right?
Right.
People are dropping like flies. Like her buddy who runs the video store is murdered brutally in the video store. She's fine, right?
Yeah.
She's not running from anybody. There's no like people trying to get into her apartment. She's just learning her lines, doing her thing. Kevin Bacon kind of messes with her a little bit, but you never feel like she's in real danger.
No.
And that
She's
kind
not
of
sympathetic. She's not in real danger, but you do want to see what's going to happen next.
you do, and that's the thing. I felt that the ending was kind of anticlimactic, if I'm being
Yes.
honest. Right?
Yes. Agreed.
Because it was the reveal was the faceless killer in the black gloves was her 70-year-old father. So he's the one murdering, the young
Who looks like
Vera.
fucking Dennis Hopper.
He was. He
And
was.
did you see the weird makeup? Like it was bronze, but it only went around his chin line, and then his neck was like a different color.
Well, I think they were saying that they were trying to film a movie. They were also the cult was filming a movie, some kind of snuff film.
That was
I don't
my
know.
debate with our cousin. We're like, maybe it's supposed to be like the makeup from a homemade movie. Maybe that's what they were going for. Because I was like, what the is that?
Well, we know they're filming it, but there's a point where MaXXXine is tied up, and he is trying to get her to repent because her father, as revealed, was some kind of preacher down in Texas, right?
And we see that in
yes,
X.
correct. It's a whole thing. So he kind of talks to her sotto voce as kind of like, hey, just work with me in the camera. So you get the sense that she's supposed to kind of repent her sins or whatever,
Right.
and then what? Potentially all's forgiven? I don't know.
Yeah, because they killed the other girls because they wouldn't repent. Seems to
I
me
don't think
like,
so. I don't think they were
you'd be
even given
like,
the offer. I don't think they were given the offer. Right? Is the way it seems to me. Because when they were dragging Halsey in to murder her potentially, she was like, "I'll do anything." Do you really think that if they would have said, "Will you repent?" she'd have said no?
well, maybe they get the X if they don't repent, and they're just sent to heaven if they do. I don't know.
Unclear.
Unclear.
And Lily Collins, for some reason, was not just branded and dumped in the woods. They chopped her into pieces and put her in a suitcase.
Which didn't make
So,
any sense.
right.
Which our heroine kicks down the stairs. They're like, oh, whoops.
It was an accident, to be fair.
It was an accident. Lily Taylor is quite small because that seemed like a carry-on.
Lily Collins, not Lily Taylor. Different actress. So, one of those things. No, so it's the grand reveal is, it's her dad and his cult, but the cult is made up of the parents of other kids who've gone missing, who become porn actors and strippers. Is that what we're supposed to think?
Yes.
Okay. So just
No,
randos.
I don't think even that's what it is. It's just a cult. You don't
Nobody,
have
he
to
says
lose a
as much.
child to join. It's all the people who are out protesting.
Right. That was also kind of a reveal as well.
Because they do this whole thing in the beginning about obscenity and, the moral cultures going through the shithole in the 80s and the devil, all that stuff. You couldn't have an afternoon talk show without bringing on devil worshippers.
Well, in the 80s, there was what they called the Satanic Panic. And
Yes.
everything was about Satanism. You play Dungeons and Dragons, it's about devils and demons and shit. If you listen to heavy metal music, it's all Ozzy Osbourne worshiping the devil and eating bats. It's a whole thing.
It's with all things. Reagan's policies must be failing. Therefore, it's a war on Christians. Therefore, it is the Satanic Panic. It is rock music. It's always the rock and roll.
It's always it's Rammstein.
Unless it's the Mexicans. So it's one or the other. You got to pick your decade of scapegoatery.
Right. It's all, it's a thing. It's a thing. So that, but then who shows up but Michelle Monaghan, who I haven't seen in anything lately. It's like she kind of reappears in this as the detective, and Bobby Cannavale, and they show up, and they between the two of them, they must kill like the entire cult. Just gun them down. Blam, blam.
Boom, boom. It's not even, they're like shooting people that are like have their backs turned.
It was a shooting gallery. It really was, because it was like bodies just dropping. And it's especially sad if you realize these are just the sad parents of kids who've run away from home or something. But again, the cult they're bad guys. Because they have murdered 3 people up to this point.
What's the porn movie? The one with the dad discovers his daughter is shooting porn.
Oh, you mean Hardcore? Not a porn movie. It's a regular movie.
It's that dad
George C. Scott.
And his friends. George C. Scott and his homies.
Well, there's a scene that made me think of Hardcore. Now, I haven't seen all of Hardcore, but there's a scene at the Peep Show where the gloved figure puts the quarter in, and we're supposed to think that's her father in retrospect. And it's her doing a little crazy dance for a quarter, and you see his hands on like the ledge, kind of. That was like George C. Scott.
Yeah.
Because there's a scene from Hardcore where George C. Scott in Hardcore is like this religious dude, repressed guy, and his daughter. The church goes to LA from like Michigan on like a church trip, and the daughter disappears. And so he hires a private detective to track down his daughter. And the private detective finds a video and plays it for the instead of just saying, "Hey, take my word for it, you don't want to see this." Instead, he says, "Hey, get some popcorn. I'm going to show you a video. Let's just see what happens." So while he's watching it, he's grabbing the seat in front of him and he's kind of, turn it off, turn it off. So that kind of, which is, it's not played for laughs, but it makes me laugh in this moment. That's kind of what the father was doing in the Peep Show. It was that he literally rips the ledge off because he's so upset by what he's seen. Although clearly he knows what his daughter's up to. So,
but he still gave his daughter a quarter, so that's something.
A hey penny will do. Right. It was a whole thing. But again, if they can, none of this makes any sense. It's like he has Kevin Bacon track her down and just give her the invitation when he could have just gone to her house and grabbed her if that's what he wanted to do at any time.
Something about it, he had to make her come to him, which pourquoi? Why?
No say.
Don't know.
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
So the cops kill all the cultists. Bobby Cannavale catches one. I think he's dead.
That chick who gets the crucifix in the eyeball.
Michelle Monaghan gets a crucifix in the eyeball for unclear why.
Unclear.
She falls down the hill. I guess she's dead too. Unclear.
How come the crucifix didn't like return her vision? Why didn't it have like a magical power to it?
Why indeed. So everyone's dead, and I guess Maxine Minx is now the star of Puritan 2 and All's Right with the World. Credits roll.
Well, at the end, there's a helicopter hovering above the Hollywood sign. She's holding a gun on her father, who's not quite dead yet. And they're telling her to drop a gun, and she looks at the LAPD and just shoots Dad straight in the face.
Which, again, is a crime. If a guy is down on the...
should have ruined her Hollywood chances, I think.
She should have been in prison at that point.
On KTLA Morning News.
Correct.
Come on.
On KTLA. Right. Good Day LA. Right.
Good Day with Jillian Barberie hosting.
That's correct. And Steve Edwards.
And Steve Edwards. We're in the Wayback Machine. That's just a little old LA morning TV humor for you.
100%. So that's... All is right with the world. So that's it.
Moynihan and Carnivale, what's going on with it? Is that supposed to be some kind of wacky Cagney and Lacey scene? I found them irritating.
I think they were meant to be, at least Bobby Cannavale was meant to be kind of funny. It was meant to be kind of a little,
and I like him. I like him.
I like them both.
I like him. But I found it irritating.
Right.
Oh, 100%. Did I go too far?
Right. It's a whole thing.
She's always complaining about him, his interviewing techniques. It was some kind of wacky...
It's like, no wonder you didn't make it as an actor. There were comments like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, any other thoughts about this debacle?
I wrote down the end, like when right before she blows her dad's head off. You didn't fail me, Daddy. You made me you gave me just what I needed. And then
boom.
So good now time. She's the hero of Hollywood and her movie is a hit.
Because what did they talk about? Well, who are 5 actors who were nude early in their... Is that what it was? No. What 5 actors started off in horror movies that went on to become big stars. And do you remember what the 5 were?
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's one.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I can't remember the rest.
John Travolta.
John Travolta. Carrie.
Brooke Shields.
What horror movie was she in?
Alice, Sweet Alice.
Oh, Lord. I thought you were going to say Pretty Baby.
Pretty Baby.
That was pretty horrific, too.
That was. And the other one was Demi Moore. But I had to think, was Demi Moore a big star in 1985? I don't think she was.
Demi
With
Moore,
Blame It
that
on
really
Rio,
big a
I mean,
star? I mean, none of these people are, big stars? No. Stars, yes.
I mean, I guess that's the thing. By
Demi
1985.
Moore and Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know.
Well, but I'm talking about in 85. I'm not talking about right now. In 85, what had Demi Moore have done up to that point? Jamie Lee Curtis, I don't know if she was still a big
When
star.
did St. Elmo's come out?
After that.
Oh.
At least I think
What was
so.
she in 1985?
Maybe she was 19.
Keep jibber jabbering while I Google it.
Well, it's okay. Brooke Shields was a huge star in 1985.
Oh, she was the queen of the 80s.
She was huge. So she's definitely huge. Jamie Lee Curtis had definitely been in Trading Places by 1985, which means she had made the transition away from horror. I don't know if she was a big star at that point, but she was an actress in normal movies.
Oh, but she was in General Hospital in 81.
Demi Moore was in a horror movie, which we need to do, called Parasite. That
She
was
rose
one of
to
her.
prominence as a member. She departed the General Hospital in 83, rose to prominence as part of the Rat Pack. Blame It on Rio,
Blame It on Rio.
1984. St. Elmo's Fire, and About Last Night. But what's the horror movie?
She was in a movie called Parasite in the early 80s.
When did that come out?
I don't know, 81, 82, something like that. Look it up.
Somehow they skipped right over that in this.
Because it's a piece of shit. That's why they skipped right over it. John Travolta was definitely a big star. Saturday Night Fever and Grease were well before 1985. Who else? So that's the question. And then number 5 was supposed to be MaXXXine Minx, that she was going to become a big star. So they make a point to try to compare her to Marilyn Chambers. That Marilyn Chambers went from porn
Marilyn
to...
Chambers.
Right. It's a different thing.
It's a different thing, and she never really had a real proper career.
No, she did Behind the Green Door.
Exactly.
Which, ironically, if you saw in the horror videos where they were dragging Halsey and the gang tube, were taking them behind green doors.
Yes.
So she was Behind the Green Door, and then she did Rabid, that David Cronenberg horror movie. And then that's about it. Then it was quickly back to porn.
Yeah.
Which seems that's probably the path that MaXXXine Minx is going to take, for being honest.
You know, she was like a model, and they had to take down all her stuff back in the day.
Well, she sold like detergent.
Yeah.
It was like she did detergent ads, and then did porn, and then Rabid, and then back to porn. Because honestly, once you've done it, you got the scarlet letter. It's hard to shake that.
Especially then.
No question. Any last thoughts about MaXXXine?
No.
Okay, well, let's go behind the scenes, shall we? Let's see. MaXXXine's We shirt is a reference to We, O-U-I, a men's adult pornographic magazine published in the United States featuring explicit nude photographs.
I know. I already knew that.
Oh, I bet you know.
I already know that. I had a friend who had a boyfriend who obsessively had just stacks and stacks and stacks of just raunchy porn magazines.
This is a horror. This is stuff I don't need to know. If I'm
like
being honest
Penthouse and Playboy, that was too clean.
When Molly Bennett, Lily Collins, talks to MaXXXine outside of her trailer, she says that actresses have to stick together, similar to what Mitzi says to Pearl about sisters-in-law sticking together in Pearl in 2022.
And how'd that work out?
Not great.
Not too well.
Not great, Bob. Let's see. MaXXXine was originally developed as the end of the X trilogy, but Ty West, the director, later stated that he has plans for a fourth film, which would depend on the third film's reception. And then he talked about that he had begun work on the fourth film, and he may develop it as his next project. But lately, he
But
says that he's
nobody else
happy.
been mentioned in it.
He says he's happy where he left it, and it may have it remain a trilogy.
Yeah.
So,
Because the third one was not quite as successful.
Doesn't seem like it, does it?
No.
When
I mean,
go ahead.
it's fine. Even if it was just a standalone, it's fine. But it's the worst of the three.
Yes. And that's the thing. I really enjoyed X. Like, I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. MaXXXine, I kind of look at and kind of shrug, if I'm being truthful. It's not a piece of shit, but
Now,
it's by no means.
Heather was like, she loved all the 80s references and really liked
But that doesn't
all
make
that.
it a movie.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's nice to have those things, but at the end, it's about plot and characters and
is that
so
it?
forth. That's allegedly. Kevin Bacon is chasing MaXXXine through the movie studio backlot, which is Universal Studios. They're all running around.
That because that's where the Psycho House is.
Where the Psycho House is. Absolutely. Good stuff.
Although I have not been there since I was in 9th grade.
Honestly, I always say that Universal Studios is probably the least good of the amusement parks out here. Truly, because it's not as big as some of the other ones, and therefore it's like they had to do a lot of those kind of what I call the Star Tours type of rides, where you're looking at like a screen and they kind of shake you around. And once you reach a certain age, it makes you sick. It makes you sick to your stomach to go on those rides. So,
well, I went to the Warner Brothers tour, which is not an amusement park. And it just really reminded me of the old Universal Studios tour before they had all these rides. It had some simple rides when I was there when I was a kid. But it really reminded me, and like the back lots, they kind of all look alike.
Right.
I mean,
they
we
do.
were going to see the Gilmore Girls, and of course, there was some catered luncheon going on for the studio, so we couldn't get anywhere near any of the Gilmore Girls stuff. No Stars Hollow for us.
While MaXXXine does her makeup in front of a vanity, on the desk is a ceramic goose with a large amount of cocaine in it.
Dude,
Frankly,
you
a
could have
freakish
retired
amount.
on that. How much cocaine was in it?
Right.
Cocaine is freaking expensive. No one's going to leave a bucket of cocaine out for the porn stars.
Right. It's about 2 keys of coke in this ceramic goose. The goose may have been a reference to the goose that Pearl killed in the opening of Pearl. Is that possible? I don't know.
What the hell? I think I remember a goose somewhere.
There was a goose.
Let's tie that together.
Lead actress Mia Goth stated that the story for this film, in her opinion, is the best out of the 3.
That's because she got her producer credits on this, but...
Wah, wah. The fictional movie within the movie, The Puritan, has the tagline, "Her faith will be tested, her soul will be tormented." Okay.
See? I want to hear more about that. That could be the 4th movie, The Puritan. A24, let's go. Writes itself.
Let's see. I don't know if there's anything else in this that is particularly interesting.
There's no gossip anymore in these movies. You got to go back to the actual 80s to hear about everybody talking trash about each other.
John Labatt's death is foreshadowed in a few lines of dialogue. While first meeting MaXXXine, he tells her that living with the guilt from the events of X, burdening him, would crush him to pieces. And later, Elizabeth tells MaXXXine to squash whatever is going on in her life that may interfere with making the Puritan. And John is literally squashed by a car compactor in the junkyard.
Yeah.
Which seemed like an overreaction.
It does seem a little strong. But you're dealing with the dude from Breaking Bad, so you don't want to mess around with that.
That's true. Let's look
Dude,
at the. Go ahead.
Kevin Bacon got hit in the head with a baseball bat and got beat up with keys. That would
He
have
got
warned me off.
he got hit in the head with a baseball bat and then falls off the loading dock and crashes onto the concrete below because he's unconscious, doesn't protect himself. So he was
Right.
already probably going to the emergency room, and then he wakes up in the freaking car crusher.
I like how they wait for him to wake up and
Yes,
not just crush him while he was passed out.
that was pretty rough. Let's look at the cast and crew, shall we? Let's see. Directed by Ty West. You know him from such things as Pearl in 2022, X also in 2022, The Innkeepers in 2011,
Don't
and
know.
and House of the Devil in 2009.
Okay, how did Ty West get all this money to do all these things when the other movies that happened before we've never heard of?
I've heard of House
How
of the
did he
Devil.
become the darling?
He was always kind of an indie darling kind of guy who just kind of slowly, because X was not some huge budget deal, you know what I mean? So
All right,
but then it did well, so they said, okay, let's keep going.
let's roll.
Let's see. Mia Goth played MaXXXine Minx. You know her from such things as Pearl, 2022, X, also in 2022, Infinity Pool in 2023, and
Unfamiliar.
Suspiria in 2018.
Oh, who did you play in the reimagining?
She was Sarah. Does that mean anything to you?
No, which one was frickin' Sarah? I only
I don't know.
remember Dakota.
Yeah, one of the dancers that was not Dakota. Elizabeth Debicki played Elizabeth Bender, the producer. She is notable because she is like 6'3".
Well, and those shoulder pads are about 6'3" also.
No question.
She looks so strange with those shoulder pads.
She is like really tall. You should appreciate that.
I should
Um,
because that's exactly how tall I am. So
yep. She was in The Great Gatsby in 2013. She was in Widows in 2018. She was in Cat in 2020.
you're just
And
saying
in
words.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, she played Aisha.
I do enjoy a little Dave Bautista Gardens of the Galaxy.
And she was in 15 episodes of The Crown playing Princess Diana.
Dude, I said to Heather, I'm like, she looks like she could play Princess Diana.
Yep. She's been in some
So
things.
that's perfect because I did see The Crown. But here's my question. Back to Guardians of the Galaxy. I have not seen part Trey. Worth my time?
Some people love it. Some people love it. I felt, honestly, I thought the first one was great, and the other two were a disappointment to me. But I know people who love
because
the
they
third
had
one.
Batista wasn't going to come back. He thought he was done with two, and they must have backed up a truck with some money.
Well, because they fired James Gunn. They
that's
fired,
why.
and then they kind of coaxed him back, and then everybody agreed to come back again, essentially.
All right.
Let's see. Giancarlo Esposito played Teddy Knight, Esquire.
Love him.
You know him from Breaking Bad at 26 episodes as Gus
Yep.
Fring. He was in The Usual Suspects in 1995.
I don't remember him in that, but I do love The Usual Suspects.
He was in The Jungle Book in 2016.
I didn't frickin' see that.
And he played Buggin' Out in Do the Right Thing in 1989.
Oh my god!
How about that?
Okay.
He is having a career resurgence.
He
is freaking everywhere these days.
Yeah,
good on him.
Everybody loves him.
No question. Anybody else? Oh, Kevin Bacon, of course, played John Labatt. You know him.
How old is Kevin Bacon now?
Let's see.
73.
He was born in 1958. So you do the math.
I can't do the math.
Kevin Bacon was in Footloose in 1984, something called The Woodsman in 2004, Hollow Man in 2000. That was kind of an Invisible Man kind of movie. And Mystic River in 2003.
66.
He's still doing his thing.
He's still doing his thing. I guess that was bad of me to say he was 73. He was in Animal House.
And in
You know
Friday
what
the
I mean?
13th. Yeah. Let's look at the rating, shall we? MaXXXine currently has 72 on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know what the audience gave it?
80.
75.
Oh.
Boom. Let's look at the top critics here. Amy Nicholson from Film Week says, I like this series so much as a commentary on the artificiality of Hollywood. Terrific fun.
Is
Okay.
it really a comment on the artificiality of Hollywood?
I think
I'm
that's
not
what they're
getting
trying to
that.
say.
Yeah.
Disagree?
Yeah, I disagree.
Hard disagree.
You could say that. You could say that about the substance, all this stuff. They want to throw all this bullshit on top of this.
Peter Bradshaw from The Guardian says, Director Ty West goes 3 for 3, serving up a horribly watchable new episode in this outrageous black comic franchise of aspirational horror porn, this time set in the 80s Hollywood. 4 out of 5.
Yeah. All right. That seems reasonable.
I think that's about it. Aaron, what is your rating for MaXXXine?
If it was a standalone movie, I'd probably give it like a B minus or something. But because it's part of the trilogy, it really is the worst of the three. To me, it was very disappointing because there was X that was good. And I really liked Pearl. Pearl was beyond effing creepy. I mean, both those movies were great. So we all had high expectations
Right.
when we hear it's going to be an 80s themed slasher. And it's not that anyone did anything wrong. Well, yeah, that is. I mean, I like all the Brian De Palma nods. I don't like the cops. I don't like the fact that it's like some weird Christian daddy thing. I mean,
That was a bummer.
that was a bummer. So, I mean, I was fine with it up until then. So I'm gonna have to say it's 3.5 hedgehogs out of 5.
Yeah. Look, and I watched this movie recently. My attitude is just go watch Body Double. Go watch Body Double. You'll get the
You
good
got the
Frankie Goes
good
to
Frankie
Hollywood.
Goes to Hollywood song.
We're on the same page. 100%. 100%. And I'll
There's
take
black gloves. There's split screens. You got it all.
you've got it all. And I would take a young Melanie Griffith over the current Mia Goth, if I'm being honest. So
She is a bit of a chameleon, though. I do appreciate that in her.
she does her thing. She does her thing.
I mean, I'm not that big of a Brian De Palma fan, but I figure you use so much of it, you should have really doubled down on it. There
No,
should
I
have been
agree.
even more.
100%. 100%.
And they only did split screen at the beginning. It should have been all throughout.
Nonstop.
Yeah,
Nonstop
it should
split
have been.
screen.
If you're gonna be Brian De Palma, be Brian De Palma.
And honestly, you think I thought it was going to be like pornier because there's really not much. It's just like you kind of know that she is. There's like one scene when she walks in the room and there's some kind of porn going on, and
There's
that's
some
kind
porn
of
going on, but everything is kind of blocked. I mean, you see what they're doing, but you're not seeing any bits and pieces.
You don't see her doing anything either. It's just
No.
kind of she does a little dance at one point, but she's like, I'm not showing anything anymore. I guess I already
see her
showed it.
breasts, but not from this movie. You see a snippet from X.
Right.
So at one point they tell her to take off her top,
right.
but we don't see that.
Not that I need that necessarily. Not that I require that.
I don't need to see anybody's tits, but we do end up seeing them.
Right. It's
a clip of her having sex on a police tape.
But you don't really see. She could just be alone jiggling. right? You don't see her actually doing anything.
Yeah, because we all us women, this is the mind of a man. We're all just sitting around, just kind of
Jiggling.
rocking ourselves with our tits hanging out, because that's what we do.
Is that too much
You
to ask?
know, I already made dinner. The laundry's done. I'm
Time
just
for
gonna
some jiggling.
imitate sex on my own bed by
Let's do it.
myself.
So I give it 3 out of 5. 3 out of
Oh,
5.
even lower than me.
It's
Whoa.
look, it's
Yeah,
fine, but it's
it's
not
fine.
something that I need to see again.
Yeah.
It's just it's not horrible, not a total piece of shit,
And you
but
don't really root for her because she really
you
doesn't have
don't.
much of a personality.
Right. You can't root for her because she's isn't really show you anything. And
I'm
what
not
you
sure
do
why
see,
she has friends because she doesn't.
no, she doesn't. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying. She doesn't show you anything. She doesn't give you anything,
no.
and she's just so ruthless that you're
Yeah,
just kind of like, I
yeah.
can't
She's
empathize
gonna
with you.
die alone of a drug overdose. That's the future.
She could have. I mean, you feel like she's either oblivious to the murders because she doesn't warn Lily Collins. I keep coming back to this. Lily Collins, who played Molly Bennett, who I didn't even mention, she, yeah, she could either she's a moron and still isn't putting together that her friends are going up to the hills and getting murdered, or she just doesn't give a damn. It's like, oh, you've been nothing but nice to me, but you did call me Nadine, so therefore you must be
You
killed.
must die.
Right. So not horrible, but it's not something I need to see again. So there
Yeah,
you go.
agreed.
Boom. Any last thoughts on MaXXXine?
No.
Oh, I
Bye,
don't
Ty
either.
West. I guess we weren't going to hear from you again.
Until Hex 4. So, thank you very much.
Now it's the 90s. It'll start off with a hard Backstreet Boy song.
Please, is that too much to ask?
Back. All right. You gonna go see him at the Sphere?
I watched I watched a movie that was clearly set. Well, it wasn't set, but it was made in the 90s. So when the credits roll, it's that crazy like house music, where it's like hackers. Have you ever seen that one? It's the same thing where it's just nonstop rave music to start, and I'm like, okay, this is a 90s movie. I get it. No mystery. So thank you very much. We are across some social media platforms. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. Still on TikTok, Aaron? Is that the case? Unclear.
I'm still on TikTok. I had to create a new X thing because I bought a $700 camera and it doesn't work, and I can't get Polaroid customer service to get in touch with me. So I had to recreate an X account. Mother effer. I gave myself a new name, and
MaXXXine Minx.
I'm trying to post my angriness on social media, trying to get them, and they still don't give a f. Usually, AT&T screws my bill over. After 6 hours on the phone, I post something on X, and suddenly,
boom,
AT&T cares. Suddenly cares. Well, guess
right.
what? Polaroid, they don't care
because they're not on X, probably.
Maybe. I put some trash on all my media and tagged them out.
We're also on YouTube, so you could be watching us, seeing our lovely faces. Good stuff.
I do enjoy the blue sky. It just seems happier.
It is happier. It is happier, but if we're being honest, not nearly as much activity.
Dude, for me posting my art, people are talking to me all the time. Whereas before
shit.
X, I was yelling down a well. Hello, 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 hello.
Well, maybe promote our show, Aaron, on Blue Sky for guys.
I did too, but I think it's scaring off half my artists.
They're like, we're out of here now.
I'm like, here's a picture of my Polaroid art. Here's Alice, Sweet Alice. Here's another photograph. Here's MaXXXine.
That'll do it. That'll do it every time. You can also email us the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review, won't you?
Treat yourself.
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
You just fucking asked me that.
I know. I was just asking you about TikTok, but then you told us your whole social media. But aren't you still on First Dibs and Artsy
Oh
and
yeah, I'm
all of
still
this
on
shit?
Artsy and First Dibs. Buy some of my artwork. It's expensive, but it's worth it.
It's expensive, but worth it.
Aaron
Our,
Doherty, Instant Dreams Gallery.
our podcast is free and worth it. So there you go. Good times. As you know, each week we like to have our, our friends give their comments across the social media. Aaron, what are our friends saying?
I said it to you, you bastard.
And
Now
I
let me
said
go
it.
find it.
This is
Hang
your
on.
segment now, Aaron.
This is
I've
our
bequeathed it to
segment
you.
now. Well, now our only friends seem to be on TikTok. So Marcus Sanchez comment, and this is this is regards to Mask of the Red Death, one of our throwback Thursdays
Yep.
that I posted on Fridays. 100%. I love this movie. This is one of Vincent Price's best movies, in my opinion. It's on Pluto TV. The set design is phenomenal. It takes right to the time of the plague. And as a matter of fact, we were watching it during COVID, of course. Other people, this got a few comments. Greg White 448, love him and this movie. It's all love to Vincent Price. And who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Good old
We
Vince.
got to do Theater of Blood one of these days.
Add it to the list. Add it to the list.
Boom.
Next week, we're going back into the Wayback Machine. We're doing it right.
We're going way back, way back.
We are doing the horror classic Psycho, starring Anthony Perkins. You got Janet Leigh. You got Vera Miles. You got who else?
Vera Miles, who shows up later in Psycho 2.
In Psycho 2, absolutely. It's an all-star cast. Where can you watch Psycho, you ask?
Not for free.
Not for free.
Of course. What does something go to the public domain in the name of all that is holy?
Not today, evidently, for Psycho.
Apparently,
that's for sure.
I'm going to have to pay FFF $3.79.
Your best deal is $3.79 on Prime, but you can also pay $3.99 on Apple TV, YouTube, Fandango at home, and Spectrum. $3.99.
They just raised my Amazon. Amazon's now $150 a year, and the more they raise it, the more they take away.
Right, with ads.
With ads, yeah. Son of a bitch.
Those bastards. Bastards, I say.
Bastards!
So send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show.
Oh, dude, I think after we watch that, we need to watch, the new Monsters, the Ryan Murphy with Ed Gein, with old Charlie from Sons of Anarchy playing Ed Gein, and he looks exactly like him.
How do you know what Ed Gein looks like?
Because serial killer, really? You're gonna ask me that?
Oh, sweet Jesus!
I used to, when I was pregnant, I was only enjoying serial killers and cultists.
This sounds horrible.
So now it's really more cult, but I can talk to you about serial killers. But of course, he was the inspiration for Psycho, and I already told you a big note about Werner Herzog and oh god, who's the documentarian that I love? I can't remember. They were gonna go dig up the mother's grave because they didn't believe that she was really buried. And then one of them chickened out.
So here's the thing: Ed Gein, inspiration,
Yes.
as you said, for Psycho, but also the inspiration for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ah.
Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Ed Gein,
it all has to
murdered
do
no
with
one.
wearing people's skin.
Ed Gein did not murder anybody. He was a necrophile. He was a grave robber. So there you go. I don't know why I know this. See what you've done to me, Aaron. Now I know I have these horrible thoughts in my brain.
Horror and serial killer. It's hand in hand, brother.
Hand in hand. So send in your favorite scenes, I think I already said this. Favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions.
Just many strokes left and right. Go home.
They're coming quick, early and often. So thank you very much, and be well.
I say good day.